Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We're now keeping our focus on the 2019 general elections, and joining us from our Abuja studios is Mr. Akin Oshintoko. He's the spokesman at Atiku Campaign Organization. I want to thank you so much indeed for joining us on Sunrise Daily this morning. You have watched this scenario as they play out, and a major bone of contention happens to be that if the president doesn't sign that electoral amendment bill, it will be a major concern. Not only for the APC itself, it will be a problem for INEC, it will be a problem for other political parties, the opposition especially. What are your thoughts?
Well, you have not mentioned the most critical stakeholders. It will be a problem for Nigeria, not only for PDP or media, it's more importantly, it will be a problem for the country. I mean, it's like having a self-destructive streak. It's, it's like imputing crisis, into the political process that we are going through. So, again, I don't know how you want to, you've identified the problem. And if any, the most important stakeholder, the critical stakeholder in Nigeria today is the president. And beyond his own partisan concerns, an ambition for the election, he still remains the president, until otherwise decided, prayerfully in February 2019. But he's still the president, regardless of the fact that he's a partisan, he's the candidate of a party. So he still has to, display that sense of national responsibility, when occasions like this arise. To not look things, squarely from the perspective of how it will be to his advantage at the elections. I mean, using the instruments of states that are supposed to be neutral, that are supposed to be used to generate stability, confidence in the system. Subverting them to serve parochial and partisan purposes is a bit irresponsible. So I don't know, I mean, as I said, it's not a problem for the parties alone, it's a problem for the country.
Proof, where you say that the ruling party now is using instrument of state to its own advantage.
What? Well, I didn't hear the latter part of your question.
Do you have proof?
Well, I didn't make the allegation
that the leading party is using instrument of state to its own advantage.
Again, I didn't hear it, but let me just assume what you are talking about. Yes, I did make the allegation, and of course, I can go on to substantiate it with other instances. Don't forget that when he was declaring, when he was launching his campaign about a week or 2 weeks ago, the service chiefs, in an unprecedented manner, went to his declaration to declare the commencement of his campaign. Now, what does that, I mean, how do you react to that? How does that suggest, it corroborates, this allegation of, indiscriminately, almost recklessly, using the instrument to further his own partisan or personal purposes. Look, and if the service chiefs were not invited, right? What they have done merits immediate dismissal by a president that is governing in the interest of Nigeria.
Okay, let me just take a moment or two so we can go on a very quick short break, and we'll be back after these messages. Join us again. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Mr. Oshintoko, when you just watched that clip now, all the PDP was saying is that we are back on a rescue mission. And if you tie that to some of the developments that we've seen in the past 3 years, Can the PDP really say, compared to what the PDP was before now, and the apologies it rendered to Nigerians, and perhaps the forgiveness Nigerians may have forgiven, it depends on which side of the divide you say. What can you tell us? Are you truly able to rescue Nigeria as a party?
Of course, you know, look, this is a president contesting for re-election. That election is always a referendum on the incumbent. Look, there are a number of questions you can ask yourself. We are talking about PDP. We wanted to contrast and compare. Okay, let me give you the most elementary. Ask an average or typical Nigeria today if, as Ronald Reagan asked Americans, if they are worse off or better off today than they were 4 years ago. That's at the level of the elementary. But you see, the most important quality that our candidate brings to the table, and that is the most pressing challenge of Nigeria today, that is nationalistic spirit. It's a unifier. It brings people together. Now, you see, unlike most people, I take the position that the most fundamental aspect of the problem Nigeria has today is not economic recession. It's not distress, right? It's the will to overcome whatever challenges that comes your way. And that comes from national will and motivation. It comes from integration and a sense of shared responsibility and unity.